Come and dream with me.
Hello and welcome to this special edition of What Do You Want to Watch, where we're going to be talking about Disney Plus and everything that's on the service. Well, everything new that's on the service. I'm your host, Ashley Hobley, and joining me today is Dylan Blight.
Hello, I'm Disney Plus superfan Dylan Blight.
Superfan. Did you put that on your Twitter profile? Yeah?
No, I wouldn't go that far, but...
Yeah, so there's a lot of... Obviously, they released a fair amount of content to start off with. I think it's at least 8 bits of content. No, 10 different shows and series and movies to kick off the launch, which I guess is a pretty solid amount of original content, considering that the main reason people are going to pick this up is all the archival stuff, all the movies from yesteryear and the millions of seasons of The Simpsons, so...
Let me subscribe so I can watch my childhood memories. Yay.
Yeah, and then you watch
or just The Simpsons.
Little Mermaid once,
Simpsons
and you're like, I had my fill.
Well, Little Mermaid isn't on there, so...
No, it is now. Yes, I checked.
Is it?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, and I'm pretty sure they just dropped the live musical that they did recently in America, where Shaggy played Sebastian the Crab.
Excuse me? What?
You didn't see this? No?
No.
I'm pretty sure that's on Disney Plus now. I'm pretty sure I read that somewhere, but yes. So let's just jump into it. How about we kick things off with arguably the flagship show, because it is the show that pops up as soon as you open up Disney Plus, The Mandalorians. So if you want to know more episode by episode about The Mandalorian, you should check out our Mandalorian after show, The Mandalorians, which you can find on all good podcast services, or just go to explosionnetwork.com to check it out. But Dylan, we're 4 episodes in at time of recording. How are you feeling about the show overall?
I've enjoyed every episode. It's very good. I like being able to watch Star Wars live action stuff weekly. And I kind of just like that it's proven. I just like that exists. I hope that more of it comes. And I obviously hope that like when Resistance finishes, it means, you know, like the next animated series will be a Disney Plus show and Obi-Wan will be a Disney Plus show and all this sort of stuff. I think it's just proven that it works and people are enjoying it. Obviously the internet's in love with little baby Yoda, however you want to refer to it. The child, yeah. But you know, without huge spoilers for this, so without going over too much, I'd say yeah, it's very good, and it's Star Wars, but it also feels more like Star Wars TV that I'm somewhat used to, I guess. You know, more so than the movies, especially the most recent episode. As of recording, felt more like a Clone Wars episode more than anything else, which I like. But it maybe if you only care about the movies and you want the big action and that sort of feel that the movies gives you, maybe it's not going to tick the same boxes for people, but I'm excited about it. I'm happy to keep watching it, obviously.
Yeah, it's a great show. Obviously 4 episodes in, it's keeping a very high standard of quality, in my opinion. I enjoyed The Mandalorian. I enjoyed the small brief glimpses we get into the world of Star Wars post Emperor Strikes Back. And post Return of the Jedi.
Post Return of the Jedi.
But before Force Awakens, so I guess that time period, which we haven't had a hell of a lot of content for yet.
We've had basically nothing because it's so close. It's like 6 years after Jedi, so it's rather untouched territory.
But yeah,
when it comes to Star Wars. Yeah. I was thinking about it for a second. I'm like, no, there was the Aftermath book series, but that takes place literally right after Jedi. So it is like untouched territory.
Yeah, so just getting a look at that world, that aspect in the time period is pretty cool. I think this is probably the best they could have done with the Star Wars series without throwing $1 gazillion at it for a TV series, I think. So,
that said, it still looks like it has a bunch of money. Like everything
looks like
good. The costumes look good. Yeah. Cinematography's good. Music's fantastic. I'm in love with it. You know, so it doesn't look cheap by far. It doesn't look cheap at all, you know. any of the CGI we've seen so far doesn't look bad. The puppetry looks good, obviously.
Yeah. So yes, again, check out The Mandalorians. It's got an E in there if you want to find out more about The Mandalorian TV show. Next up, let's quickly touch on Noel, the Christmas movie that Disney's released starring Anna Kendrick, Bill Hader, and Billy Eichner. It's fun. It's a fun Christmas movie. Doesn't really do much new. The premise is that Bill Hader is the new Santa after their father passes away, the previous Santa, and but he is not into it. He doesn't want to be Santa. So Noel, played by Anna Kendrick, suggests he takes a weekend away somewhere to like clear his mind and stuff, and then he just ends up not coming back. So Noel has to go out and find him. Otherwise, Christmas is going to be ruined by Billy Eichner's character, who's a tech guy who thinks that everything can be solved by computer algorithms and Amazon Prime. It's enjoyable. There's elements of other things.
Sorry, I had to pause for a second. I thought, the Billy Eichner show, the thing he does.
Yeah.
When you just said saving Christmas, I just, in my head, for some reason, I heard Billy Eichner just go, "We're saving Christmas, lesbians, let's go." Oh my God. Continue. That was one of those brain fart jokes that I'm like, I can't keep in. It had to be let loose. Oh, dear.
But yeah, it's perfectly fine. There's not a lot new. I mean, there's that element of Elf that, they're coming from the North Pole. They don't know anything about the real world much. So everything's kind of new to them. They don't know what sunblock is. And that's really not helpful when you're in Phoenix, Arizona, which is very sunny this winter. So
is there singing in this movie?
Not really, no.
Oh, what a waste.
Yeah, I know. And then, it feels kind of like Arthur Christmas, the underrated Christmas animated film. That kind of dynamic as well, where, maybe the little sister is a better fit for Santa than the big brother is. And, that plays out.
Does it seem like it's targeted at, like, really young kids or, like, 12-year-olds?
I guess,
or
like,
even
12-year-olds, I guess, maybe middle. that weird they're gonna chuck a bunch of Christmas movies on during the holiday period, and this is gonna be one of them. I mean, it makes sense, especially this time of year. At every streaming service seems like they pump out a bunch of Christmas movies now. Seems to be the holiday tradition. But on a service that has some of the best Christmas movies of all time, it's hard to go, yeah, we should watch this one on Christmas Day instead of, say, The Santa Claus or
No, but I always find it weird, I like watching some of the same Christmas movies every year, but I also like having new ones every year that I may never watch again, but at least it means that year I've got something new to try out before I just rewatch before I rewatch Santa Claus for like the 100th fucking time in my life. Like I usually watch it every Christmas Eve. And then like obviously there's other ones I've watched a bunch like Die Hard and stuff, but there's like which isn't on the Disney Plus streaming service. So yeah, I like having new ones every year. Like it was the one that was on Netflix last year that the Kurt Russell one we took. Kurt Russell
Santa Claus Chronicles or something like that.
Santa Claus Chronicles. That was fine. That was like a 6 out of 10. Never watching it again.
Yeah.
But you know what I mean? Like perfectly fine. I'm going to watch this. I haven't watched it yet because I was saying before we start recording, December's Christmas time. I didn't want to watch this before we hit December because I always feel weird watching Christmas movies outside of December. So I'll watch it. But even my thing with Christmas movies, and I think they get a weird rap because for me, if I watch this and I'm like, this is like a 5 out of 10 as a movie, but as a Christmas movie, I still kind of enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Then it's fine. You know what I mean? Like I can be like, that movie was like bad, but it still hit the spot as a Christmas movie, and I enjoyed that. Yeah.
It does. Yeah, there's a lot of Christmas in it, so that works. And it's got that feel good, elements. It's got that Christmas cheer, and it's got cute reindeer, which is cute
reindeer.
Yeah, if Baby Yoda wasn't a thing, then maybe people would be talking about Snowcone, the cute little reindeer. I mean, he's not even close to as adorable as Baby Yoda, but maybe be in the conversation. And, all the bigger reindeer, they're all cool as well, and do this cool thing where they smash their horns against each other to pump themselves up.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, it is cool. But yeah, Noel, check it out. I guess it's Christmas season. This is the time to watch it. If you're gonna watch it,
if you don't watch it now, you'll never.
Well, maybe next year when they repump
Maybe
it out.
next year.
But yeah,
Noel too.
maybe, I don't know. Next up, we have the Imagineering story, the documentary series directed by Leslie Iwerks, following the Imagineering team at Disney, the team who pretty much do all the practical, I guess, elements to all the theme parks and the cruise lines and the different shows and shit. I mean,
everything.
They do all kinds of stuff. So yeah, I think this is one of the most fascinating things on the service.
I think this is the best thing on the service. Full stop. And I know that's like blasphemous because everyone loves The Mandalorian. And I obviously love The Mandalorian as well. But I would say like quality for quality each episode so far, this is, I would say, I would rank this above Mandalorian so far as the best thing on Disney Plus for quality reasons. Because what are we at? We're at 4 out of 6 episodes, I think? Yeah. No, 3. What? 3 out of 6 so far. 4. Right. Yeah, 4. 4 out of 6 episodes, and it's just been utterly interesting from start to finish. Some stuff I knew, obviously, the bare minimum going into it that I feel like most people know about, like Walt Disney and like how the park got started.
Disneyland is a thing. Disney World is a thing. You know,
yeah, there's like bare stuff you go in. But then outside that, it's like each week I'm learning heaps of cool, new, interesting things. And also because it's a 6-part series, it's not like a 2-hour documentary. It means they get to really go deep on some of the rides and interviewing some of the people who helped create the rides, and even when Walt Disney dies, like stuff that happens there. And now they're getting towards, at the end of the 4th episode, they're now at the point where they're getting into where Michael Eisner is gonna get his passing, or not, he doesn't die.
Resigning. His
he's resigning. He's basically forced out, and that's kind of the period we're entering now, which is going to be interesting to see how that plays out over the last couple episodes. And then, of course, I presume the last episode will cover up to the current day, which would be Galaxy's Edge and these sorts of things as well, which is going to be really interesting. It's not just interesting from a Disney. It's like, oh, you like Disney? Well, here's like fucking Mickey Mouse at a theme park and stuff. That's not what the show is. It's like, from a technological point, it's just really interesting to watch. And also from like a business insider point, it's also really interesting to watch, I find, because it's like, okay, so they basically helped create technology that did this. Like, and it starts in the 60s and 50s or whatever, you know, it's like 60s with like the audio animatronic stuff to make all the talking, like Lincoln and these talking birds and all this sort of stuff, which was like ahead of its time somewhat, and the first of its kind and stuff. But it's like that's how the Imagineers get started, as a group of creative minds of engineers and artists and, you know, all these sorts of people. And that's what it exists through till today, where they are literally sitting in a warehouse somewhere, very much Willy Wonka-esque, and their job is to literally try and come up with cool and interesting ways of, like, not rides, but technology, and then implement that in different ways across different parts of Disney's everything bar the film industry, basically, is what they touch. They did touch the film industry back in the day, but now it's like film, you got CGI, you got all this, you know, they're not so it's not so necessary there. But like even in the last episode, they touch on how they get involved with the yacht, Disney's big yacht ride, or not ride, but it's big yacht or whatever, go around on that, and how the Imagineers had to come in and like help design that and work things into place there perfectly for that and all these sorts of things. But yeah, and then on the business side, it's also quite interesting when they're covering like, okay, so Walt dies, who takes over next? How's that work? How do these people come in? You know, like, yeah, I'm finding it really, really interesting. And it is like, as soon as it dropped on Friday, and here's my number one complaint for Disney Plus at the moment, why everything drops on the same day, I have no fucking clue, and it's pissing me off. But it's like, Friday comes around, all right, so I get home from work, Mandalorian, I watch first, because that shit, I need to watch that to get spoilers out of the way. And then as soon as that's over, I put on this. Yep. Not because I'm afraid of spoilers, but because I'm generally all week being like, give me the next episode, you know? So
yeah,
I'm really, really enjoying it.
Yeah, it is a fascinating element of, I guess we haven't thought of much and explored. Just the theme parks and that kind of element, I don't think has been, delved into. We get everything about the movies, everything about the cartoons, everything about the TV shows. That's an aspect of the Disney empire that I don't feel has been explored enough, and is interesting inside. Just you don't really think about how theme parks get made. They just are there, I guess.
Yeah.
And you're like, cool.
They took years of work and planning and money and
just the thought process behind every little detail and certain things. It's crazy. So, it's definitely one of the most it is easily the most fascinating thing currently on Disney Plus, I think so. I'm also like, each episode as it comes out, I need to watch it. It's an odd double feature of the Mandalorian and Imagineering every Friday night.
Yeah, the Imagineering story. Yeah. I also add that it doesn't really tie into the show, but I watched the first 2 episodes, obviously when Tuesday, like when Disney Plus released, and then after watching those 2 episodes, I was like, oh yeah, old Uncle Bob put out his semi-autobiographical book or whatever, like 2 weeks ago, and watching the first 2 episodes of this made me want to go read that. So then I got that through Audible and listened to that all over the past week, which has been a good companion piece to watching the Imagineering story and then reading his book. So
yeah, cool. Let's move on to another docu series, The World According to Jeff Goldblum. Dylan, you had a strong reaction to this.
Yeah, so I wrote a review for the episode 1. It's on the site, of course, explosionhours.com. I should have said I also wrote one for The Mandalorian. It was I wrote one for everything, so we've mentioned. Mandalorian was an 8 out of 10, I think. And then Imagineering Story, first episode, I think I gave a 9. And then the first episode of Jeff Goldblum, I gave a 4, I believe, because I did not like it. No. I thought it was really boring. That's how I'd boil it down. It was boring. It's the complete opposite of the Imagineering Story, where Imagineering Story is like grabbing me and really intriguing me and filling me in with information and, interesting characters. And I say characters they're real people, but, the interesting characters on the screen. Jeff Goldblum is just Jeff Goldblum being Jeff Goldblum, which I guess if that's what you want, you're going to get what you want. But then I feel like he negates any interesting facts or stories that may be found within the subject he's covering. So the first episode is all about shoes, and he goes to this big shoe convention where they're like trading and selling these $1,000 sneakers and stuff, and he ends up at like Adidas or wherever later, or Nike, I don't remember at this stage. He talks to all these people, but at every stage of the episode, I just felt like he was just being him and trying to be funny, I guess, and whimsical Jeff Goldblum and whatever. Was the story's too focused on him? Like he's not he's not telling a story. He's not presenting us something. The show is about Jeff Goldblum, and I guess maybe that means it's just not for me. But I feel like he's not a person taking you on a journey like a normal sort of documentary type series host. It is Jeff Goldblum is the focus center of the story, and what he's taking you through is just what's going to get him through the story, I guess. If you know what I'm saying? Like it's like.
I mean, if you're not a fan of Jeff Goldblum, I feel like this isn't going to work for you. It definitely feels like him exploring each subject with him being the primary information source and him learning about the subject. But if you don't like Jeff Goldblum or his type of humor, then it's not going to do anything for you. And I don't think you learn a hell of a lot either.
No.
Yeah. It's not the most informative series you can get. No. I mean, it's just like kind of surface level-y, I guess, to a degree.
But then I don't feel like it hits silly enough to get away. I don't think it hits a silly and fun factor that lets it get away with not being informative. Like, it fails on either degree to me, and that's why I think I disliked it so much. I'm like, this is neither really enjoyable or teaching me a lot. It's hitting neither. I'm bored and I'm not learning anything. It's like the ultimate. I don't feel like I'm a teenager fresh out of high school, but I also don't feel like I'm seeking knowledge. I don't know where I'm going. I don't know the point of this show. I don't know why it exists. I'm not going to watch any more of the show. I can tell you that. I'm definitely not going to even bother trying a second episode. I'm like, this is definitely not a show for me. And it's definitely it is my least liked thing on Disney Plus. I haven't watched two things, of course. I haven't watched Noel and one other thing we get to talk about. But of everything I've watched so far, this is a big no from me. The only big no I'll give, with no asterisks on it. I just say no.
All right, let's move on to Encore, the docu-series, reality show series, in which a High School Musical company gets reunited years after they performed their last High School Musical performance to redo that performance, I guess.
Yeah.
The first episode is like the 1996 class of some school redoing...
Some Santa something or other doing Annie.
Doing Annie. Hosted by Kristen Bell. I think she's so front and center. It's quick to notice that she is barely in the show, especially after the first episode.
I was about to say, how many did you watch?
I watched one, but I've read enough about other things, yeah.
Okay, so I've watched 3. She is not in episode 2 or 3 at all.
Is she narrating at least, or there's not much narration?
I'll correct myself. She's at the start. She introduces every episode, but it seems like they've just recorded all of those in the same day, like in an hour. You know what I mean?
Sound booth, yeah.
Yeah. They're like, come in, say the intro for every show, and then here's your $1,000 and off you go.
Yeah.
In the first episode, spoilers for that, she shows up at the end to be there in the crowd to watch the Annie production. Whether or not that happens again in future episodes, I can't say, but she's definitely not in episode 2 or 3.
No, because
so she doesn't do that every episode.
Yeah, apparently there was a pilot episode that aired on as a special on ABC, in which she was more involved in the process. Like she was there like the entire week, from what I can gather, as like a mentor to the actors and that kind of thing. So I can understand, especially this year, why with all the different projects she's got going on, that she couldn't do the same time commitment to this. But obviously it's a bit odd with her being front and center on the
that's my problem. I'm not like, oh, I hate Christian Bell. Complete opposite. Love Christian Bell, obviously. But my problem lies with her being on the poster, front and center, all the trailers focusing a lot on her. Like the trailer starts, she's talking, all this sort of stuff. I think the marketing failed with this show, especially when the poster's just her in a room. You know what I mean? Like, what's that? What is this show? What's it about? Yeah, so that's where my problem lies.
Okay, but how do you feel about the show overall?
I think so. I reviewed this. I think I gave the first episode 7.5. I think something around that. I would say the first episode is good. It's my least favorite of the 3 I've watched. Although, of course, if you don't like the general premise, then you're not going to like the show. I do like the general premise, which works, and it's the same for every episode. It literally is like, it starts and some random person will be talking voiceover, and then you'll realize it's one of the people you're about to meet that's part of the high school production, and they're like, oh, I'm a mother now, I'm a construction worker now, I'm a fucking lawyer now, I'm a police officer now. You know what? They're explaining what they do, what their life is like. Oh, I'm married, I got kids, I got, whatever, blah 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 blah. They explain everything goes, and they start talking about the production, and then the first 10 minutes of the show is you getting general introductions from every one of the production. Then that's interwoven with them all meeting back up at their high school, and you get to see them meet up again. And it really is like watching a lot of these people. I've learned by watching this, and maybe this says something about the type of people that do like drama class and this sort of thing in high school. But a lot of times these people say, and you hear them say in episodes, that they did not attend their high school reunions. Like the outcasts, these people, I guess, in the drama clubs. So they didn't attend their high school reunions. So we're literally watching them. Their high school reunions. And for some of them, it's their 10 years. Some of them, it's their like 15, 20, 25, it could be reunions, depending on when the year was. So you see all that, and then the people come in and introduce themselves, who are going to be the stage director, the play director for whatever they're doing, the choreographer for dancing. And
usually big name people as well. Like
big name people.
Industry, yeah.
Yeah, every time it's like, I've just directed The Lion King on Broadway. I've just directed Sound of Music for the last 15 years. Like they're big name people. They're not random people that aren't good at their job. They are good directors for Broadway. The same guy has been in every episode as the voice coach so far, so I presume he's just going to be in every episode at this stage, and that's just what he got paid to do. The dance choreography person has been different, and I think that makes sense. I guess for voice coaching, it's like you're teaching someone to sing. Singing's the same. I'm not to be like obviously the different songs is different, but like I think maybe from like a science point when it comes down to it, like teaching someone to use their highs and lows and like how to sing is going to be the same for
anything
when you boil it down to it.
Almost everything.
They bring in so they bring down different dance choreographers though, because I guess some plays have different dancing, different types of dancing. You know what I mean? Like all sorts of different ways they go about it. And then of course the director's different because you got to have completely different directors for the people that are involved doing the different productions and these sorts of things. But once you get past all that, the rest of the episode is basically interwoven of them learning how to do the singing, dancing, learning to play, costume design, all these sorts of things. And that's fun if you like musicals. I would say I am a mediocre musical fan. Like I'm not a musical fanatic, but I enjoy musicals.
You're not spending thousands of dollars to go see a musical live.
No, I'm not traveling across the world and whatever to seek out musicals, but I do enjoy musicals. I enjoy musicals enough to be able to watch this show and enjoy that aspect of it. But then the other part of the show that I think they kind of let down, and this is my critique of the first episode, which I think you basically hinted at when we talked about it on the last episode, one you want to watch anyway, which is basically they hint at this really interesting human storyline that they could be telling between this one guy, Jeremy, in the first episode, and they kind of just, they don't get much time to play with it because it's like they've got an hour to go over that and their training and how they got together and then show you the actual production, and it's very strained for time, and I feel like the show would have been a lot better, and I think I wrote this in my review, I feel like the show would have been a lot better if every play was 2 episodes and they got more time to show you the people reacting to one another, especially because every episode so far there's always been an interesting human element there, like this person hated this person at school, or this person was jealous of this person dated this person, blah 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 blah, and I feel like it would serve the show a lot better to show more of that, and they show some as much as they can, and it is interesting and they manage to intrigue you, but you don't feel like fulfilled.
In the first episode, they bring up a point of these 2 friends were like together doing everything during high school, and then they fell apart post high school. And you're like, oh, hopefully they'll delve into that and sort of we'll get that cool reconciliation thing. And then the only line we get later on is like, yeah, we're going to exchange emails and I think we're going to be friends again.
Yeah, we're going to be friends again. Let's see how we go. Yeah, there's a lot of that. So. I mean, it doesn't ruin the show. It's just one of those, like, not quite nitpicky, but very, very much makes you sometimes be like, oh, I wish we got more of that. Choice.
Yeah,
I wish we got something more there. And then at the end of every episode, it is 10 to 15 minutes, I would say, of them cutting together the actual production and play. I question if they ever make any mistakes because it's edited, and if they just edit out where there is mistakes, which I honestly would be okay with for this show, because it means that if they're cutting out the times they do fuck up, then we're getting, you just see when they're doing good, and then by the end of the episode, you're like, yay, they did it, and it's supposed to be a feel-good show. So
and I mean, this is probably the most feel-good moment, seeing like their families and that kind of thing react, like seeing them on stage and that kind of thing. That's cool. Yeah, the most feel-good moments.
Yeah, but overall, I'm enjoying it. I'm definitely going to keep watching it. Every episode, they're doing a different
musical.
Like I looked ahead on IMDb or whatever, and it's like everyone's different musical, so there's no repeats coming up. So good.
Yeah, I think I might go back and catch up. So
it's easy to watch TV.
Yeah, it's easy to watch
while I'm doodling on my laptop.
Yeah, I think that's what's going to happen. Yeah. All right, next up, we've got the awesomely named High School Musical: The Musical, the series.
Yeah.
I've watched the first. I've only watched the first episode, but I think it's a solid teen TV series. That kind of genre that it feels like a little bit step up from maybe the Disney Channel TV series. It feels like a Glee light, arguably. But yeah, I think if you're a fan of the musical, the movie, I've never watched it in its entirety, but if you're a fan of those. This might be something for you.
Yeah, I think I gave the first episode a 6 in my review, something like that. It was fine. It didn't like super grab me, but at the same time, it hits more in that teen musical genre than just like, it's like a subcategory. I don't know if I'll actually go back and watch this unless I literally have nothing else to do. I wasn't a big fan of Glee either, so I don't think these types of teen musicals are like
your thing,
my jam exactly. But I thought it was okay, and I definitely felt like it would hit the mark for the people who like High School Musical, who like Glee, these sorts of things. I think the premise is interesting, as stupid as the name is, because it makes it sound like it's an actual documentary, but it's a semi-mockumentary. Like, there are times they cut to them talking to the camera. I still don't know. In one episode, I didn't understand. Hey?
It's an odd choice for a series to go mockumentary.
Show. Yeah. And it's like, so it's a fictional show in which they're at the high school where High School the Musical, the movie that we know of starring Zac Efron, was filmed. And in this fictional high school, they've never put on a production of that High School Musical, and that's what they've decided to do this year at school. And that's the plot. That's why it's called High School the Musical. The musical, the series.
Yes.
Which the title is terrible, but as a plot, it's kind of meta and interesting. Like, there's a scene in the first episode where the kid's like watching Zac Efron on DVD in his computer, and then the DVD gets stuck or something in there, which I thought was funny because I'm like, this it's coming out on a streaming service in 2019, and my dude's getting his DVD stuck in the DVD player while at school. Like, really? Come on, dude. Like,
come on. Just have that Disney. How did they not integrate a Disney Plus streaming
service into their show? They're like, no, I can't do that. It's too meta. You're already making them watch Zac Efron High School Musical and show. You can go that meta. Just do the full length. Yeah.
I mean, my major nitpick is they don't commit to the mockumentary element. I mean, they have that flashback. How are they supposed to have the footage of that flashback?
I mean,
if it's a mockumentary,
it's very silly.
And then nobody addresses all the cameras around everywhere. That's crazy.
Yeah, I don't know who's making the documentary.
Who's making this documentary?
I don't know.
How are they getting this footage? Why is nobody reacting to these cameras? Is it like invisible drones? I don't know.
Maybe.
It's weird. But yeah, I mean, it's not for us, I don't think, but somebody's going to enjoy it, I guess. Yeah.
I assume so.
Yeah. Let's move on. Forky has a question. Series of short shorts, really short shorts, starring Forky, the breakout star of Toy Story 4. Asking a question each episode. They're about 2 to 3 minutes each episode. I think they're a bit hit and miss. I think one of them's good, and then the rest are like, yeah, that's fine.
One is really good. The other two are meh. And I keep watching them, waiting for them to be at that high again. So, episode 1, meh. Alright, Episode 2, I'm laughing out loud in my room watching that entire thing. It's hilarious. Come back for episode 3. And I'll keep coming back every week going, give me that episode 2 hilarity. I don't know if it can. I mean, it's fucking 2 minutes. It's hard. It's like explaining the joke, I guess, to say what episode 2 is about. But episode 2 is funny basically because he has a mug and he's explaining that its name is called what? No, because every time he sees what's the kid's name? Judy? Something
Bonnie's.
like that. I don't know. Bonnie, that's it. Bonnie's mum, walking around with this mug every morning, drinking coffee out of it. She's on the phone and she's saying to it, what? No. So Forky's assumed the name of the mug is what? No. And he does that about 20 times over in that short
delivery.
What? No. Yeah, in that delivery, and it's quite funny to watch. Yeah, I was laughing out loud. That one was good.
But yeah, I mean, they're fun little shorts. I mean, it seems an odd series to put out, like a bunch of shorts. My number one hate is that they aren't organized in a series way. They're each individual movie options, so you have to go through. It's annoying. I can understand, I guess, from a actually I can't understand why they chose to do it that way.
I don't think it has any excuse. It has literally no excuse. On Trakt.tv, of course, which this show is not sponsored by, but is basically sponsored by, we sponsor them to just promote them every week for free.
Yeah.
On Trakt.tv, they come up in one thing, which is good, as a series. On Disney Plus, they do not.
Individual
Trakt
titles.
is right. Disney Plus is wrong.
Yep. Also, seeing as we're on the subject of shorts, I want to point out that, yes, they've got all the Pixar shorts available on the service, but they've got none of the Disney shorts available on the service, which is annoying because two of my favorite shorts from the last decade are not on the service. Feast, with the little dog that eats all the food and stuff, which is beautifully animated, and then Paperman, which is a beautiful, short, silent, love romantic story that's done in a beautiful cel-shaded art style. So
maybe they lended the rights out to someone else and haven't got them back yet or something.
Yes. I don't know, but there's no other like Disney. No, I don't know. It seems like a weird one. I understand why you'd have all the Pixar ones. I feel like the Pixar shorts have a long history, but both of these I think were Academy Award nominated. So why wouldn't you have those up unless they're saving them for Academy Award season when they'll just throw up all their winning shorts or something, I don't know, in a collection. But that's an odd choice. Then we got one episode of Pixar in Real Life, which is a series in which different elements of Pixar stories will be done in like a prank video style video, I guess is the premise. But
it's a YouTube video.
It's odd that they put out one episode and the next one isn't coming out till the 7th of December, I think.
Yeah. So it must be one a month, I guess.
I guess. Or they were waiting for some reason. I don't know. Just to spread it out.
I don't know either. And they're not good enough to be spread out over a month. Judging the quality of the first one. The first one was like mildly... This is why I say it was a YouTube video. Because I swear if this was a YouTube video, I might be like, that was a good YouTube video. Considering it was something I put on my Disney Plus app, I'm like, that was a bad episode of something that seems like it was a mildly okay YouTube video, you know, like a mildly okay YouTube prank thing. The first one's about Inside Out, and there's a board in New York Park, and then they have these actors react to people pressing buttons, so they change into angry or happy or sad or, you know, whatever buttons they're pressing on the board, like how it works in the movie Inside Out, obviously. It's an okay premise. I didn't laugh at all.
It's bad improv.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Like, it's an okay setup, but like the way it's pulled off is not super interesting. I feel like it's just one of those things where if you were there and you were walking past and you pressed the board, you would have had more fun in real life watching these people react to you pressing the buttons, and you would have gave the like kind of corny acting from them a pass, given that you was like interacting. You're like, oh, this is funny, like what the hell's going on, you know? Like, but watching it as a video, you're like, this is I don't know, it's not funny. I didn't laugh at all. I didn't find it super interesting, so I'm gonna watch the rest as they come out, especially if they're only one a month. I feel like there's potential still for others to be good, and much like some of these other things like the Forky thing, where it's going to be very hit and miss depending on how they're pulled off. Yeah.
I mean, they've got a photo of a live Wall-E robot going around. I'm like,
yeah, that has to be fun.
That's
got
got to be fun
to watch, surely. Yeah.
Yeah. Next up, we got the Marvel Heroes Project, which is pretty much a documentary series about cool kids who do cool, like, important stuff. First episode is about a girl with who's missing part of her limb, but she doesn't let that affect her. She's missing part of her arm from her elbow down. But she does some cool engineering stuff and is like an inspiration to other kids who also are missing limbs for various reasons. And Marvel have used their name power to not only, I guess, tell their story, and I guess the idea is that it's got Marvel's name on it, so everybody will give it at least a look.
Yeah.
But then they make him into a comic book character and like do a special one-off comic book, which you can also get on Comixology, I believe, that tells their story and is like interesting and cool. I mean, it's kind of weird when they're in the boardroom talking about the people and they're like talking about all the elements that make them good. It comes off a bit cheesy and that kind of thing. But I mean, it's a fun, feel-good series. I mean, they're just like 22 minutes, interesting stories of kids doing cool, interesting stuff that restores your faith in future generations, I guess, to a certain degree. But yeah, it feels like a project. They're like, hey, Marvel, do you want to do a feel-good story? A cool charity event, because they also give a check to a charity every month, every episode as well. So it feels like a feel-good promotional ad thing. But yeah, I mean, it's cool. It's good. I can't fault them for putting something like this out. I mean, they're making these kids happy and that kind of thing. So I can't be too negative on the show, I think. But
go Marvel.
Go Marvel. And finally, the other movie that they released on day of launch, the live-action Lady and the Tramp, voiced by Tessa Thompson and Justin Theroux, with Kiersey Clemens and Thomas Mann playing the live-action owner of Lady. I enjoyed this more than I was expecting going in. I think when I watched the first trailer, I was like, damn, this doesn't look good. The voices don't fit. It just feels weird. But yeah, watching the whole thing, I think it is pretty enjoyable, especially having not seen Lady and the Tramp in a long time and not remembering anything that happens. It's like, oh yeah, this is pretty solid. I think kids will like this.
I think this is better, way better than The Lion King, which was put into cinemas. Which I'm like, this should have been in cinemas, and Lion King should have been straight to the
hot takes.
Not to say that this is fantastic. It's okay. And I think the fault with this movie comes down to I don't understand what the story of the original, like Lady and the Tramp, this one or the original. I haven't watched the original for quite some time either, but I don't understand what the real story is. Like what these Disney movies obviously had like a underlining message of sorts, whereas I feel like this one's always just been like a love story, I guess. Like there's no...
The message is pretty clear. Adopt, don't buy.
Adopt, don't bite?
Don't buy. Adopt.
Don't buy. Oh, okay. Yeah.
Adopt animals, don't buy.
Really, if honestly, you're probably right. If you're looking for a message in this movie, it probably is adopt dogs, which is fine. But like overall, there's not like some big story here. They're freaking dogs and whatever else. But yeah, as a movie that you could probably put on and kids would enjoy, I would say kids should enjoy this. It's very fun to watch. They've fixed a lot of things about the original that make this version the one. Like, if I had kids, I wouldn't want them to watch the original. I would want them to watch this because I think this fixed a lot. This is a lot nicer. It's less problematic. Like, if you go back and they've changed some of the songs that were problematic from the original one, especially the Siamese Cats song. They've changed that in this one to be now was it we're bad or we'll do it, whatever.
It was just the about original cats being dicks.
That was just about cats being dicks, which I enjoyed. It was quite a lot of fun. The original one was racist, obviously. I mean, it's in the title. It's in the title. It would not. Yeah, you can't do that today. And also in the original one, a big difference from this one from memory is that like in the original, the main dog, whatever his name is, the male one, Tramp. Yeah, the Tramp. Like the whole thing about the movie was like, he's a ladies' man and he's a bad boy, like all this sort of thing. Like the part where they get to the pound or whatever, I think they changed that song as well a little bit, because in that it was like, he's like a bad boy, he leaves girls behind, but he comes in, it was like that was kind of the way to play it off. Whereas in this one, he's just like, he's more of a lovable stray and, like his family got left behind, and they never make out like that he's some sexy lady killer dog animal, like he's just a guy, I feel like this is more family friendly, and for that I kind of like it. They've also fixed not fixed, they've added some additions that I quite appreciated, like the fact that they're like, what, this is in a fucking world where dogs are talking to one another, so it doesn't matter if it's set in the 50s. Multiracial couple is is the couple we follow for the film. And in the animated version, they never showed you their faces. They were always just like from the perspective of the dogs, and the people were always supposed to be this like background character to the movie, so they never showed you like focus too much on the human element of in the original one. Whereas this one, obviously the main couple of the movie is a big part of it, and when the baby comes in and also all this sort of stuff. So I was like, you know what? I like how they were like, it doesn't matter that it's in the 50s. This is a fantasy Disney movie, and that kids can watch this again growing up and be like, that's nice. You know, like, instead of being like, why are all the black people working as, you know, like, you don't need to keep movies that set in the 50s if they're Disney movies realistic, you know. It doesn't need to be 12 Years a Slave because it's fucking about dogs talking. But overall, I'd say this was quite enjoyable. It was fun. It looked good for the most part, CGI wise. Like, there was a couple bits where I was like, yeah. But for the most part, I would say it looked quite good. And it's way better than Lion King, which was shit.
Yeah, I thought it was very good. Obviously, there's like story elements of the original that I feel like damn, I wish the aunt got her comeuppance. You know, those cats, they didn't get punished at all.
But
they ruined
also,
the entire house. Like, what the hell?
I love seeing what's what's her name from Community?
Yvette Nicole Brown.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, she was the playing that. I love seeing her in that role. So that was good.
But yeah, I think it's enjoyable. I think probably an improvement on the original, but not incredible movie overall.
Yeah, but I think the base material is just okay in general, in my opinion. Yeah. You know, we're not working with gold over here.
Yeah, not like the Lion King. No. All right, that's everything about Disney Plus. Do you think? How do you feel about the lineup? Do you feel like it's a good base point? And what are you looking forward to coming up to Disney Plus?
I'm looking forward to that One Day at Disney thing or whatever it's called.
A Day in the Life.
That comes out this week, I think.
Which I think, releasing in a couple of days. Not Friday, which is weird.
Is it on Friday as well? Oh,
I think you said not Friday.
Oh, better not be. I can't even remember now. But I'm looking forward to that because that's a movie, documentary movie about Disneyland again or whatever. You know, like One Day at Disney. And then following that, they're releasing like 50, I think, short films or episodes basically over the next
like individuals. Yeah.
Individuals like after that point. So it's like, if I love the movie, I guess I'll continue watching those. But I'm intrigued to watch that movie at this point because that was one thing they put a trailer out for. Like, I thought it was going to be launch day originally because they put the trailer out with the rest of the stuff. But then I was like, oh, it's not. So that's a bit of a bummer. And then I think there's another movie that's out this month too, a snow one or something. I don't remember, but I'll probably watch that as well. I don't know. I quite like being that I can try everything now and I don't feel too crowded at this point. Because you know how Netflix always has so much stuff coming out that I'm like, I cannot even keep up with attempting to dip my toe in this stuff. Whereas I'm at Disney Plus because it's new. I'm quite enjoying being able to go, I've tried nearly everything that's in this dipping board at this point. And if I can attempt to keep that up for a while, if possible, we'll see. I'm going to enjoy that. I'm going to enjoy being able to go, I'm good. Disney Plus, I feel like Explosion Network, we've got that covered. You know, like, watched it all.
Yeah.
Netflix, it's too hard. It's too much.
Yeah.
But my biggest complaint, I guess, at the service at this point that I'd hope would get fixed. Like, so when we talked about What Do You Want to Watch, the main show last week, 2 weeks ago, whenever it was, we talked about how they didn't have a continue watching thing. They've now added the continue watching thing, but it still doesn't work the way I want it to. My problem is this. They have, I guess you'd call it the cutoff bar. So you have to watch until like the last 3 seconds of an episode, it seems, before it'll mark it as watched. And I'll click out of something and it still has like 20 seconds of credits left and it'll like be in the continue watching section still. And I'm like, dude. And if it's going to do that, fine. If that's why you want to leave it, at least let me click in it and then click mark as finished or something along those lines. You know what I mean? Like, let me just click stuff as I've watched it. And in that same regard, I want a recommended section that I can tailor similar to how Netflix does, where like if I click on something in Netflix, even if I haven't watched that movie on Netflix, I can go down and I can rate it with their thumbs up, thumbs down system. And that will then, that will delete it off my recommended system. It kind of marks it as if I've watched it.
Yes.
Is something I've figured out. So it's like, oh, you've rated it. that means you've probably watched it, and it takes it out of your recommended thing. And it'll move it to your, you've watched this again, do you want to rewatch it section, which is completely different. So I kind of want that sort of system happening where I can go for all the stuff on Disney Plus, be like Star Wars, stop recommending I watch Empire Strikes Back every single time I finish an episode of The Mandalorian. I've watched it many, many times. I'm good, my dude. Let me mark it as thumbs up. I've watched it.
Why would they ask you to watch the middle one?
It's very weird. I don't know. I just want a way to mark stuff so it can better tailor my experience, is what I'm saying. Yeah.
But yeah, same points. Just some UI little things. I'd like it to be easier, even easier to scroll through different movies and that kind of thing. Again, the continue watching. I mean, it's a start, but again, if you could like, and the integration between I was watching something on my laptop, and I went over to my TV, and it didn't catch up at the same point. It started from the start of the episode. Also, something that could quickly rewind you to the start, like a start from the beginning thing again. Like, especially if you're not going to clear it, if it's at the end of the credits. Yeah. It's like, let me restart. I want to watch this again. Yes, I know I just watched it, and I didn't watch the entire credits, but yes, I would like to watch it from the start. Thank you very much.
It's a weird one because I've had nothing but like positive experience with it. Like I've had no laggy, like I've had no problems watching stuff. I've had none of that. I've heard like American people talk about that on my Twitter, but I'm like, I've never had any problems watching anything. I'm good there. Everything to me looks great. Quality wise, streaming wise, cool. But like as a product, as a streaming service, it's quite weird how much they're missing. It's as if they didn't bring in someone to be like, hey, like compare this to competitors, Netflix, Prime Video, whoever, and tell us what we're missing as a platform. Like it really seems like they've missed so much on that level that they didn't even look at it, kind of. Such basic stuff, like the continue watching thing not being there week one. It's like, okay, that's weird.
Yeah. But yeah, we got a lot to look forward to. Another season of Clone Wars, got all the Marvel TV series, which I'll definitely be keen to check out. But the other thing I want to hit on before we finish up, how do you feel about the weekly release of content and compared to the binge watching ability on Netflix? Do you feel like, is it more than just an excuse for them to drag out your subscription?
I don't think it's an excuse because I think they know that like just having like The Simpsons, for example, would get a bunch of people to subscribe, and you get all the Star Wars movies. People subscribing in Australia to Stan just to watch freaking the Marvel movies, so you don't need to like drag out the release dates. I think most of the shows that are on here work better week by week, and I like that. And that's something I've said before when it comes to even Netflix module, that I wish Netflix would start to be like, you know what, this show would work better week by week. This show is probably just a bingeable one, and I guess then the question comes up of, well, who's deciding that? And it's like, well, that's some person's creative job to be able to tell the difference between what shows would work better week by week. And to me, what works better week by week is anything that's going to be within the pop culture zeitgeist that people want to discuss with their friends, sit around the water, that whole like saying of around the water cooler at work is the one that people talk about a lot, or these sorts of things, or talk to your mates on the weekend, or whatever you do. Of course, our version of that is just making a podcast about it.
The Mandalorians,
yeah. And I'm not just saying that because that is good for us, but that is something important and to be said about the fact of the reason I like doing those shows is because in general I find it more fun to watch an episode, digest it and talk about it. We do it for other shows here on the ExplosionNetwork.com as well. And I like that. I like that because it reminds me of when I was watching all these shows years ago, and I used to be able to watch freaking Game of Thrones, discuss it with my friends during the week and be like, oh, this will happen, maybe this will happen. And then we'd watch the next episode and be like, theorize it for a week and read theories, get on Reddit, see what's happening. That's fun. So Disney Plus hits that with The Mandalorian, and I think that show works really well week by week. I would not want that to be bingeable. But then, of course, it's like, okay, well, Encore could be bingeable. High School Musical may be bingeable, I guess. I don't know if there's a weird segment of audience that do week by week breakdown podcasts about High School Musical. Maybe there is. I don't know. But On Call, definitely. The Imagineering story, that could have been bingeable.
Yeah.
I don't need a week between those episodes. I would have been happy just to binge them all and watch it as a 6-hour movie or 2 3-hour movies. Oh, you can't watch a 3-hour movie. That's ridiculous.
3 hours is fine. It's 3.5 that's pushing it.
3.5 is bullshit. Yeah, so I feel like they should have just like mixed those shows up a bit. And maybe they'll start doing that in the future. I know there was a quote from someone like Bob Iger or someone who said previously that they may experiment more in the future with like release schedules for shows, but we'll see.
But yeah, I would like them to be bingeable just because I'm selfish and want to everything at once. So, but yeah, I understand. From
we probably wouldn't be doing the Mandalorians though.
Yeah, probably not. So
full stop. I mean, it probably wouldn't happen.
You'd be missing out on that great content. So I guess in that degree. But I don't want every streaming service to switch over to weekly content. I like being able to sit down a weekend, watch an entire TV series. Like, yes, that was great.
Stranger Things should be weekly, in my opinion. I know you're going to disagree, but Stranger Things, for example, should be weekly on Netflix.
No, because I just need another episode. Been trained too much at this point to be able to watch the next thing straight away. So who wants to wait? They ain't got the time for that. You ain't got time for waiting between episodes.
Okay, boomer.
Okay, thank you. All right, thank you very much for listening to this special edition of What Do You Want to Watch? You can follow the Explosion Network, which is a part of @ExplosionPod on Twitter. Dylan, where can people find you on Twitter?
Oh, Viva la Dil, VIVALADIL.
Follow me on Twitter @Ashley Hobley, ASHLEYHABLEY. You can go to explosionnetwork.com to check out all reviews for all the Disney Plus content, plus The Mandalorians. Or you can go over to youtube.com/Explosion Network to check out the video version of The Mandalorians and other episodes of this show, which will be on YouTube. It's just audio, but it still get the views. That helps. If you want to leave us a review, you can go to Podchaser, you can go to Apple Podcasts, you can go to Twitter and write something nice. Or if you want to help us out, just tell a friend about the show. Tell them what you think of Disney Plus in comparison to us. How boring is Jeff Goldblum? Let people know. All right, and until next time, thank you for listening. Keep watching stuff, I guess. Every Saturday, catch Arcade Couch Ashley and others when you listen to a brand new episode of Arcade Couch, the Explosion Network's variety video game podcast. Sit back, relax on the couch to chill with your friends and hear about the latest industry news, as well as our opinions on the latest releases and what we've been playing. Just search your podcasting app for Arcade Couch and subscribe for free now. Hashtag Physical Media Forever. Hashtag Physical Media 2038. Hashtag Cuties.
All right. Just walk up to someone random. Hey, what do you think of Jeff Goldblum?